Hey everyone, Greg Moulton here from Matrix Motion Fitness Studios. We wanted to just take a moment to go through some shoulder care exercises. So these are isometric based, so there's no movement involved in these. We're just going to hold static positions. We're going to work through what's called like an abduction, shoulder flexion type position, as well as some internal and external rotation, and then coming into like a horizontal adduction as well. So basically just trying to go through the main movements within the shoulder and how to stabilize yourself. We're going to start working within the scapula first, kind of anchoring that, and then we'll make our way kind of out from there. So all of these exercises you're going to hold for between 5 to 10 seconds, and you'll hold each position somewhere between 2 to 5 times or so. The idea is that the first time you go through it, you'd probably hold on to it maybe twice. And then the second time you go through it, you'll hold on to it 3 times, and then you're going to gradually build that up, assuming that everything feels okay, that there is no pain or discomfort in any of the positions. If there are, the idea here is not to work through the pain. It is to find supporting positions to assist in it, to ensure that you don't actually have that pain and you don't experience it on a regular basis with it. So we're not trying to push through it. We're trying to create support for it. So I'm just going to lie down. So you'll do all these from a lying position. So I'm going to lie down. Our first position is actually just going to be with your hands down by your side. You're going to pull your shoulder blades back together, and you're going to push your arms down into the floor. And you're going to try to squeeze your shoulder blades back together behind you. As you do this, it's important to note not to lift your shoulders towards your ears. You actually want to keep those shoulders kind of pulled down the whole time as you're going through this. So first position, arms going to go down your side, pushing those shoulder blades back together. Second position, you're going to bring your arms up towards the ceiling. We'll have your palms facing each other, and you're just going to drop your arms out to the side. So we're making like a T kind of position. Again, I'm going to pull my shoulder blades back together. I'm squeezing them together and pushing my arms down into the floor at the same time. Next position from there, we're going to come back up where your hands are facing towards the ceiling, and you're going to go and make a V shape or a Y shape. And again, pushing down from there. Now, one thing to note for this one, so with your shoulder blades, what you're wanting to do is actually take your left shoulder blade and pull it kind of behind you underneath towards your right hip and pelvis. And then you're going to take your right shoulder blade, pull it underneath you, and bring it towards your left hip and pelvis. So that way you can engage the scapula, the shoulder blades, and the supporting musculature as best as possible. So that's going to be our V. And then one more time, arms are going to come up over top of your head, and you're going to come straight back over top of your head. And now this time your shoulder blades are going to get pulled just straight down towards your hips. So making sure, again, as you go into that top position, you're not letting your shoulders lift up towards your ears. You want to keep them pulled down as best as you can. And if you find that you just can't get to the floor, you're going to want to put like a yoga block or a pillow or a series of books or whatever you have to basically lift the floor up to your arms. So whatever feels most comfortable, that's where you're going to go and stop and push into that position there. So those positions are going to help to anchor your scapula as an initial kind of starting point. From there, what I'd get you to do, this you're going to do just one arm at a time, so you're not going to go with both. So one arm up, you're going to rotate your arm inwards, and you're going to try to bring that arm across your chest. So I'm making sure that my shoulder doesn't like roll right off. I'm actually keeping that kind of back into the floor. As I bring my arm across, I'm squeezing within my pecs, within my chest, a little bit within my shoulder. All right, we're going to hold on to that position. Come back up. Keeping that arm rotated inwards. Now you're going to come down on a bit of a diagonal. So I'm coming down actually towards my opposite hip. Again, I'm keeping that shoulder down, right? And then from here, we're going to go up on a diagonal. All right, it doesn't have to be a huge diagonal going upwards, just a slight one. Okay. And then the last one from here, you're going to rotate your palm around facing up towards your head, kind of going the opposite direction, and then just come straight across your chest again. And again, making sure that that shoulder stays down. All right. So we'll repeat those for both arms, or if there's only one arm that you're working on, just focus on that one side. And then from that point, we're going to get into some internal external rotation exercises. So starting first off with your arms in by your side, elbows bent at 90 degrees. I'm just going to let my arm fall outwards, so going into that external rotation. And I'm going to just push into that position. And again, if you can't get your arm all the way down to the floor, then just bring something and kind of place it underneath your wrist. So whether that's a yoga block or a pillow or whatever, and kind of just lift the floor up to you. So from here, rotating out, I'm trying to push my arm into the floor further and try to rotate further as I go through this. Then you're going to bring your elbow out about 30 degrees. Go down in that same position. Come up just below 90. Again, pushing down into that position as you rotate back. And then the last one, you're going to come just above 90 if you can get there. And then pushing down from that spot there. And then we're going to come back down to just that 90 position within the shoulder. And you're going to come to an internal rotation now. Okay? The important thing with the internal rotation actually is making sure that you don't let your shoulder pitch up. You want to keep that anchored in, and we're just looking at the rotation through that upper arm, right? We're not actually letting that whole shoulder pitch forwards, because if I let the shoulder pitch forwards, I can increase my range of motion, but the motion didn't come from my arm itself. It came from a whole lot of other stuff up within that structure. So internal rotation from there, hold that position, lower yourself down, hold that position. The last one you're going to do is just slightly off from your hip, and you'll end up rotating in basically to where your hand is on your hip or into your stomach, and just holding onto that position there. Now you could potentially do this together with both arms, although I would kind of urge you just to focus on one side at a time, making sure that you can devote your entire attention and focus onto that one arm, and then switch over and do the same thing on the opposite side. So those are going to be your series of exercises from a shoulder care standpoint. So just as a recap, you've got arms down by your side, pulling your shoulder blades in together, arms making that T, arms making a Y, and then overhead making an I. We're going to be rotating the arm in, pulling across your chest, pulling down on a diagonal towards your opposite hip, coming up on a slight diagonal, just kind of up towards your opposite shoulder. And then you're going to rotate your arm the other way, come straight across your chest. And then you're going to come in, and then external rotation at 0 degrees, 30 degrees, just shy of 90 degrees, and then just over 90 degrees. And then coming back to that 90 degrees, we're going to go internal, coming down a little bit more, internal, coming down a little bit more, internal. All right, so for those ones, make sure you do them for both sides if you need it. But that'll basically take us through kind of our full shoulder care situation for right now. If you have any questions, please let us know. We'd be happy to help from there. Thanks so much.